the same thing. So that's interesting to me as well. There's lots to get to. Let's get to it first. We have to start with Iran. Vigilant News says, breaking, Iran launches direct attack on Israel. Tehran just launched its first wave of ballistic and/or cruise missiles in Israel. The U.S. has said the attack is likely to unfold over a number of hours. And Dominic says, remember, kids, it's hard to all come together and be focused on real issues of our own corrupt government when they're constantly telling you to pay attention and pick sides over Ukraine, Russia, Palestine, and Israel. So, yep, all of that. This is to Behold a Pale Horse. This is a book that was written in the 90s. And man, it's interesting to go back. This is the author of that book, and he's asked a question about Israel. And I think context, I think all of this really matters. I think it matters. Here we go.
What role in the Middle East, again, does Israel play in this?
Israel was created as the instrument to bring about the Battle of Armageddon and the fulfillment of prophecy, a war that will be so terrible, where nuclear weapons will be used, so that the American citizens and the other people in the world will get down on their knees and beg for no more war. And what is the answer to that? They're going to be told the only way we can guarantee no more war is if we destroy the sovereignty of nations and we come together as one humanity in a one world government.
Right.
Gosh darn it. I mean, right? In the 90s, that sounds crazy town. In 2024, I think, that's interesting. Here's Blinken, right? De facto president. I think this is Blinken. Says, let's check in on the Biden administration's claim that the money they released to Iran will be under our control. Liars. So in September 2023, they were saying, don't worry about this billions of dollars we're sending Iran's way. I'm sure everything is going to be just fine. And if it's not fine, we'll totally, we'll have a handle on that. Here we go.
The U.S. will have visibility and will be able to engage in oversight about where the money was going and for what purpose. If Iran tries to divert the funds, we'll take action and we'll lock them up again. And there will be sufficient oversight to make sure that the request is valid and that it's going through vendors who we and the Qataris can trust will actually contract for the goods, the medical equipment, the food, whatever it is. The regime doesn't get to touch the money, Peter. Doesn't go to them. They don't get to decide ultimate destination, and they have no direct access to it.
John, Iran made 2 transactions.
This is January 4th now, 24.
Withdrawing from the previously frozen funds in Oman. What were those transactions for?
I don't have the details on that, Jackie. You're gonna have to let me get back to you on that.
Right? I will definitely have we'll have very, very close, observation of what's going on. And if they step out of line, we'll lock them up again, he says, except that, they had these big transactions. Could it be for kamikaze drones, cruise missiles, weapons of war? No? Yes? You don't know? Okay. You'll get back to us. I wonder if he's gotten back to them. Kyle says, it turns out Iran can use the billions Biden released to launch military drone strikes against Israel. How Iran can use the $6 billion involved in the release of 5 Americans. Here's $6 billion last year, right? September 2023. And people said, this is not going to go well. Here we are. Now, it depends on your definition of well, right? If you wanted to start a war to reset the fiat currency, maybe this is exactly what you want, right? Joel says, Gaza is shooting Israel with rockets paid for by the United States, the West more broadly, America, shorthand, but the West. I think that we've sent money to Israel, the UN, the Hamas, right? And also in the last clip I showed, he was talking about the Qataris, right? Doesn't the leadership of Hamas live in Qatar? What? So that's weird. So broader, the West is paying for this. A lot of it is American money, but Canada likes to mix it up in these slush funds too. And so if there's blame to go around, I don't think Canada can say, we didn't do that, because we definitely are. Israel is bombing Gaza with bombs paid for by America. Iran is droning Israel with drones paid for by America. Sensing a pattern here, right? And here's the meme, my tax dollars, somehow also my tax dollars. It's funny, but it's not, because it's real life, right? Yikes. It's like Nelson laughing, but he's laughing at us. being libertarian, says, I do not stand with Israel. I do not stand with Iran or Palestine. I do not stand with Ukraine or Russia. I do not stand with the United Nations, NATO, or Washington, D.C. I stand with the civilians in each country who will lose everything while crooked politicians and the propaganda press play their war games. Why is this offensive? Why is this offensive? Questions abound. Alex says, okay, Alex is responding to Anne Clara, and Anne Clara says, the Prime Minister has been briefed by the National Security and Intelligence Advisor, the Chief of the Defense Staff, and the Clerk of the Privy Council on the developing situation in the Middle East. We will continue to monitor closely. Alex says, did he read it? Listen to it? He's got selective hearing or on intel. It's funny because like I'm picturing the scene in The Simpsons where they're going into witness protection and they say, good morning, Mr. Thompson. And Homer just sits there. Right? Iran's attacking Israel. Say that one more. Who? Can we get the sock puppets out? Okay, get the puppets out. The Prime Minister will understand better if we do it through puppetry. Justin Trudeau can't bring himself to call this terror regime what it is, and it's not like Israel and Jews will be looking to him for any leadership. What does he bring to this moment exactly? Well, nothing at all. But it's just funny because, Justin Trudeau seems to be kind of, he doesn't read briefings, so you have to tell him, and you have to tell him in the right way to make sure that he understood that the thing that you were telling him was actually a big deal, and it wasn't just banter that prime ministers do with underlings. Justin Trudeau puts out this tweet. This is at the same time where he's at the press gallery thing. Justin Trudeau says, so this is put out by his aides. I don't think that Justin Trudeau tweeted this tweet, but I could be wrong. Who knows? Trudeau tweets out, Canada unequivocally condemns Iran's airborne attacks against Israel and the Iranian regime's disregard for peace and stability in the region. My statement. Here's just a reminder of that time that Justin Trudeau bowed to the Iranian leader after Iran shot down that passenger jet full of Iranian citizens and 3 Canadians, right? Iran doesn't recognize dual citizenship. Isn't that something? So if they're Iranian, Iran only considers them Iranian, not Iranian Canadian, right? No dual citizenship for Iranians. But anyway, remember that time that Justin Trudeau totally bowed to the leadership, and now he's saying, oh, we're really condemning them for doing this whole thing. Biden sent them $6 billion. There was a time, I think it was 2019, where the Americans, Trump was still in office at this point in time, and Freeland was the foreign minister, and Trump was accusing Canada of doing dealings with Iran, even though Iran was under sanctions, and this was a problem, but then the problem went away. I remember reporting on it, and then I never talked about it again. It was like one episode. Right? So anyway, regardless, Melanie Joly is responding or retweeting Justin's unequivocally condemning Iran's airborne attacks after he bows. And Mel Joly bows too and says, we unequivocally condemn Iran's attack against Israel. In this difficult time, we stand with Israel, the Israeli people, and Jewish communities in Canada and abroad. These unprecedented attacks from Iran will only serve to further destabilize the region. It must stop. I think all of this, like the Canadian foreign minister telling Iran and Israel what must and must not happen in their country, we don't have a say. It's like me saying, listen, and I mean you could ask your neighbor if your neighbor was doing something that was really ticking you off, but ultimately you don't control your neighbor. Your neighbor's going to do what they're going to do. And if they painted their garage door a weird color and you don't like it, you can protest, you can be upset, but you have control of your house and they have control of their house. And us in Canada saying, Iran and Israel and blah, 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 you guys should paint your garage a different color because we really don't like it. It's very violent what you've painted up there. It's not going to wash. We don't have any leverage at all. In fact, we kind of look stupid, in my opinion, right? I don't think that Canada has any say whatsoever. Whether we gave them money or not, we don't have any say. Standing with these people and condemning these other people and blah, 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 while Canadians don't have access to housing, while Canadians are suffering through a taxation crisis, their government's taxing the air, while Canadians are suffering through an affordability crisis, and they're saying, it's really important that you listen to us Canadian politicians. Give me a freaking break. Come on. And Pierre Poilievre gets on the pile as well, right? Dog pile, everybody. Something happened in the world and we could talk about it. It doesn't have anything to do with Canada. Yay. Pierre Poilievre puts out a statement. He says, on behalf of the official opposition, I unequivocally condemn the brazen attacks launched on Israel by the Iranian regime. The same regime supported Hamas's heinous terrorist attacks on October 7th. It coordinates and funds terror through the region through its terrorist proxy, the IRGC, which murdered 55 Canadians by shooting down Flight PS752. I just talked about that. That was when Trudeau went and bowed, right? Canada must stand with Israel. We must work with our allies to hold the Iranian regime accountable and ensure security in the region. The government of Canada must immediately ban the Tehran-controlled terrorist group IRGC to protect the people and stop the regime from using our country to raise funds, plan, and coordinate. We stand with Israel and all our democratic allies. So at least Poilievre's tying it to Canada. At least he's tying it to a Trudeau failure. Trudeau's just wishing Iran would listen to him, right? Gosh darn it. Why don't they listen? I bowed and everything. At the same time, though, I think that, yeah, I mean, if you're going to actually do those things, fine, good, great. Focus on Canada, right? Where there's an event in the world, focus on how that event is going to be felt in Canada and deal with that. And at least Poilievre is doing that. Michael Chong says, conservatives stand by Israel. We unequivocally condemn the Iranian regime's attack on Israel. The regime is demonstrating once again, as it did with Hamas, that it is the source of regional instability. Conservatives call on the Trudeau government to work with Canada's allies to ensure Israel's security and national and regional stability. I don't know what the inciting incident, why Iran decided to attack Israel, but it's notable to me at this point in time that I don't know that. Like, that the reason for the conflict isn't being spelled out here. I think that if it's Israel's actions towards Gaza, and Iran's upset by that, and they're doing this, it's interesting that that's all just kind of brushed under the rug, like the whole inciting reasons. It's interesting, whatever the inciting reasons are, but I think that that's probably that. I could be wrong, right? Isn't that why Hezbollah was upset? Like, they said, if you continue this, we're going to attack, blah, 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 blah. And then, right? So Roman Baber, same thing. Instead of helping a friend who is under attack from multiple fronts, Canada imposed sanctions on Israel. Shame on Yara Sachs and the Liberal NDP coalition. So the NDP said yesterday, our motion passed. It calls on the Liberals to stop selling arms to the Israeli government, support the ICC and the ICJ, place sanctions on extremist settlers, and much more. Every single Conservative MP and some Liberals tried to block it. They failed. So Canada did stop selling weapons of war to Israel, I guess. But again, I'd like to see that we actually did, because I don't know that we actually did stop selling those things. Colin Rugg says, just in, a senior Israeli official allegedly has said that an unprecedented response is coming to Iran's attack tonight. The official told Channel 12 that Israelis should not go to bed because of what's coming. Channel 12 quotes a senior Israeli official pledging an unprecedented response to Iran's attack and urging Israelis not to go to bed due to what is coming to Iran's way. Now, I expected to wake up to some kind of news of a counter attack or something to that effect, but I didn't see anything this morning. The footage below is reportedly an airbase in southern Israel, which has reportedly been struck by ballistic missiles. So there you go, trying to take the air ability away from Israel. That's interesting, right? So is this a one-off attack from Iran? Is this something that, like, I've never seen Iran attack Israel ever? Like, so this seems this seems new. Is this a one and done, or is this part of a larger barrage that's going to continue over the next coming days? If so, like, what does that mean? Does that mean really that there's a war now, or is that, especially, like, will the United States activate the battalion that they've got in Western Europe, right, and move it over to Israel and respond that way, or what, right? So I really don't know, but there's lots. There seems to be lots going on with that, and questions abound. Very few answers, I think. Jason says, Russian President Putin has declared that Russia will support Iran if the United States attacks Iran's soil in support of Israel. So there's more complications to that, and it seems like if you wanted to start a war, oh boy howdy, this is one of the ways, right? That $6 billion gift to Iran, payment for the prisoners, really came in handy. Mike says the United States just lost its foreign policy in the Middle East. Iran will set Middle Eastern foreign policy moving forward, and as such, the U.S. Federal Reserve will be forced to raise rates, not lower them. Now, this is a prediction. I don't know if that's accurate, but one of the things that I was thinking about as well is Iran recently joined BRICS, and if this forces the acceleration of D-dollar, that hurts the United States in a way that a hot kinetic war can't. And if you have a kinetic war at the same time as your dollar's imploding,
the world has changed.
That's bad, right? Here's the Biden. That's bad in that you can't afford to pay for anything, and people won't want to fight for your dollar because, like, here's your paycheck. Yes, you can afford to buy one loaf of bread with that. Here's your paycheck, right? And that's not great. So who knows? Who knows? Here's Joe Biden from 2020 accusing his opponent of what he himself will do. Okay, so this is time travel back to 2020 and Joe Biden's prediction about Trump. Here we go.
The world has changed because what Trump has done. And the American people, including independents and some Republicans, know how bad he is, know how much he's misrepresented, know how he's getting close to getting us in a war. I said, as the walls close in on this man, I'm worried he's going to get us to war in Iran. Unfortunately, I may have been right. The fact of the matter is there's a lot at stake in this election.
Right? Trump's going to get us into war with Iran, and Joe Biden's the one who did it. So very interesting. TJ's got a breakdown of the people who used to rule the Roman Empire, and there's theories that they still rule things. There's like little signals and symbology that says that they're actually still in control, and I thought that was interesting. The crown controls, and the crown is very old, just like Roman Empire is very old. And the crown controls Saudi Arabia, Iran, Russia, China, India, Israel, et cetera, et cetera. Global money supply, yes. It's interesting if Russia is a problem and the global money supply is part of the reason that Russia is a problem. If the crown controls all of this, I mean, maybe they don't control Putin. Anyway, there's issues with that maybe, but it just ties in. I wanted to say Saudi Arabia is, I don't know. I don't know what to make of this news, but people are lining up. And Saudi Arabia is on BRICS. And so Ian Miles Chung is reporting, Al Arabia is reporting that Saudi Arabia has joined the defense of Israel against Iranian drones. So interesting, right? So Saudi Arabia is on Israel USA, on Team Israel USA, seemingly not BRICS. So that's, I mean, interesting, right? Because they just joined BRICS too. And a devoted yogi is sharing Laura Loomer's post, and she says that sources are telling me there were emergency intelligence meetings this weekend to discuss the rise of Hamas terror cells that are operating in American cities. These Hamas terrorists came across the U.S. border and are apparently planning to attack major U.S. cities over the next 14 months. Hamas has directed their supporters in their telegram to retaliate against Americans for U.S. support of Israel. So all of this is going to be used in the short term for short-term political gain in the United States, to destabilize things in the United States for the 2024 election, maybe. And also, it seems like it was really avoidable. It seems like we didn't have to do this. We didn't have to open up our borders. We didn't have to be called racist. We didn't have to endure this communist takeover. We didn't have to do any of this. Why we're doing it, it's still a mystery to me. Obviously, somebody wants us to do this. We're being pushed down this road. But the why behind it, I'm not sure of yet. Here's Marco Mendicino and liberals showing up to the press gallery dinner. Desi Media is there. He says, as news breaks out of Iran's attack on Israel, guests including Marco Mendicino and Greg Fergus, who's the Speaker of the House, arrived for parliamentary press gallery dinner. Justin Trudeau is expected shortly. Here we go.
Any thoughts on cancelling this dinner with the news of Israel being under attack this evening?
Deeply concerned about it.
Yeah. The Prime Minister expected to still attend tonight? Was there any thought to canceling this dinner with the news of the escalation of tensions in the Middle East? Israel's under attack. No? Prime Minister still expected to attend?
So they don't answer, of course, right? Why would they answer? Here's as things were popping off. This is 9:17 p.m., right? I was looking at memes of our tax dollars at work with bombs being blown up at each other, and this is what they were forced to endure. So I think I got the better end of the stick, right? I think they maybe would have preferred to be in a Situation Room than have to watch this gong show. Here we go.
Hello.
Bonsoir.
What a fucking week, right?
Tabarnak, hein?
We had the public inquiry.
The Manning Conference.
We had the Progress Summit.
Le premier ministre français était en ville.
We had another, I've lost count of the number of vote marathons in the House.
I mean, Boris Johnson was here. Like,
And then that just happened.
yes.
So that's a
was not
thing.
planned. Yeah. If you
So cringeworthy and boring. And this is what they were sitting through while the whole Iran thing was popping off. And nobody, well, I mean, it's interesting. Justin Trudeau did end up showing up. There was footage of it. There's also footage of other press people showing up and sticking their tongue out at Daisy Media. And it's funny because the only reason a lot of those news places exist is government subsidy. Right? Like they're not pulling a lot of viewers. And if they are, the viewers they're pulling are low information is not the right term. The target voter is like 65 plus. They're not the tech savvy people who are watching what's actually going on, right? They're being misinformed by CTV. They may have 1 million viewers, 2 million viewers, maybe, but I doubt it. But these people are just kind of sitting in old age homes, kind of passively watching the TV, right? Like it's a very interesting structure, but they wouldn't exist without that government subsidy. Here's Bill Maher talking about how terrible Canada is. We're going to listen to about 2 minutes of this. Here we go.
There's only one problem with thinking everything's better in Canada. It's not. Not anymore, anyway. Last year, Canada added 1.3 million people, which is a lot in 1 year, the equivalent of the U.S. adding 11 million migrants in 1 year. And now they're experiencing a housing crisis even worse than ours. And we're sleeping in tents. The median price of a home here is $346,000. In Canada, converted to US dollars, it's $487,000. If Barbie moved to Winnipeg, she wouldn't be able to afford her dream house, and Ken would be working at Tim Hortons. And because of mortgage debt, Canada has the highest debt to GDP ratio of any G7 nation. I don't know what that means, but it sounds bad. So does their vaunted healthcare system, which ranks dead last among high-income countries in access to primary healthcare and ability to see a doctor in a day or two. And it's not for lack of spending. Of the 30 countries with universal coverage, Canada spends over 13% of its economy on it, which is a lot of money for free health care. Look, I'm not saying Canada still isn't a great country. It is, but those aren't paradise numbers. If Canada was an apartment, the lead feature might be America adjacent. And if America was a rental car, Canada would be America or similar. And again, honestly, Canada, I'm not saying any of this because I enjoy it. I don't, because I've always enjoyed you. But I need to cite you as a cautionary tale to help my country. And the moral of that tale is, yes, you can move too far left. And when you do, you wind up pushing the people in the middle to the right. At its worst, Canada is what American voters think happens when there's no one putting a check on extreme wokeness, like the saga of Canadian shop teacher Kayla.
So talks about Kayla Lemieux, et cetera, et cetera. I think that there's a lot of lame jokes in that 2-minute set. Like there weren't very many laugh out loud moments, but I thought it was interesting the stats he was citing and the idea that healthcare is collapsing. All of these institutions are collapsing and Canada's just not better, right? It's still a great country, he says, but it's not the utopia people pretend it is. And going too far left has real consequences that he's using Canada as an example of to warn the United States, don't do this. It's going to end badly. Now, again, I don't trust Bill Maher. I don't like Bill Maher. I don't think he's funny or particularly intelligent. And he looks a lot like Hugh Hefner, don't you think? Maybe he's a honeypot guy as well, because Hugh Hefner had the Playboy Mansion all wired up with cameras just like P. Diddy did, right? He was a Fed. So maybe so is Bill Maher. Here's Pierre Poilievre. This is 2:00 in the afternoon, so the Iran thing hadn't started yet. Jagmeet Singh's thing happened while the Iran thing was just getting started. But Poilievre puts this out. And what do you think about this? Like, I personally think, Mr. Bernier has said that he's not going to pander to all of the days of all the holidays, because if you do that, then every single day is going to be a day you're doing a pandering video, and it just gets tiresome, right? So he's just not going to do that. He's just going to focus on Canadian holidays. So I thought that was good. I like that personally. But the other option is to do what Pierre Poilievre is doing and Justin Trudeau does, which is, happy this day, happy that day, blah, blah, blah. And sure, they may be big holidays, all the rest of it. I saw them do Holi. I saw them do the Greek Independence Day. I saw them do all of the other ones. And Poilievre did just as many of them. He'll go to Sikh festivals just as well as going to a maple syrup festival or a fall festival, right? Or other ones. He goes to a synagogue to talk about Israel, right? So he's doing that on purpose to build voting blocks, to build groups of people who want to vote for him. So he's meeting them where they're at and saying, happy whatever. And I think that it's still divisive. And I think that a message of unity should have a united message of Canada, not, happy your holiday day. Like, we're not in wherever celebrates this holiday. And most of us aren't Sikhs, right? So it rubs me the wrong way. Let me know if it rubs you the wrong way also. I wish politicians could just talk about policy or how they're going to fix things, et cetera, rather than, wasting her time like this. It just seems like a waste of time. Here we go.
Today, Sikhs around the world celebrate Vaisakhi, honoring the rich tradition woven into the Sikh faith. Through the establishment of the Khalsa, Guru Gobind Singh Ji instilled principles of courage, service, and
Right, I'm done. That's that, right? Great. All of that's wonderful. It has nothing to do with me, right? Or Canada, really, right? I'm sure faith and service and blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. Maybe Canada shares some of those values, and maybe we can all be Canadian together around values that we share, blah, blah, blah. I don't even care. It's just ridiculous. Like, come on, please. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. We should have a united country around the concept of freedom of expression, freedom to worship your God in your way, so long as everybody's agreed that we live in Canada and we're celebrating these holidays because this is traditionally what Canada celebrates. I don't think we need to have a religious war to fix that. I don't think we need to have any kind of allowance made for Sikhs or for Jews or for Hindus or for anybody else who wants to have a carve-out made for them. You can make out your own carve-out. It's no problem. You have religious leaders. You have leaders within your communities, within Sikh communities, within all of these other communities. There's no reason. In fact, it's more divisive for Canadian politicians to do what Poilievre is doing, in my opinion. So I don't like it at all. I think it's ridiculous, and I don't think it benefits everybody. I think it is harmful. I think it's divisive. It's a wedge, or baby wedge. It helps drive the wedge. Jagmeet Singh says, hello, everyone. Thanks very much for watching. This is just a short version of a longer show. If you'd like to get the whole show, you can go over to CanadaPoly.com and sign up for a subscription. Just look in the drop-down tab for Shop and Donate and look for subscriptions, and you'll get immediate access to the full show. Love to see you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful